Hello everyone and welcome into my light box. You know that this is where the magic happens. So today's video is slightly different than most I've done in the past, and the reason why I decided to do this video now was I by no means am an expert when it comes to samurai swords, but I am very experienced with collecting Meiji period Japanese metalworks that were utilized on and as furniture for the samurai swords of the Meiji warriors. And just a little background information. The art of samurai swords is very complex. And there's all those terms of like katana, dasho, tanto, you name the different variations of the swords. That's not what this video is about because there's many more experts out there that know so much more than me. But what I wanted to talk about was I believe it was like March of 1876, the samurais were banned from carrying their swords by the Meiji government in Japan. The Meiji period, a memory again, spanned from like 1868 to 1912. And if you want to get into other videos on samurai swords, that's not what we're doing here, but we are doing the furniture that graced the swords and also the transition of the Meiji metalsmith into producing jewelry once they weren't producing swords. So you had all those metalsmiths that were extremely talented, silversmiths and goldsmiths and ironworkers that labored over those swords. And if you look at like the way the blades were constructed, there's even like 9 different portions of just the blades of those swords. So graceful and so beautiful. What I wanted to talk about was the transition into jewelry. And this one has, let's see here. Let me zoom in on this. This one has both steel, 14 karat gold, rose gold, a tiny little ruby, and a pearl. And this is a slide. So this actually is a slide. I would say this one was made around, this is a little difficult to date, but late 30s into the 40s. I had a chain on my desk and now it's gone. I wanted to show you that this goes on a chain, but look how graceful that is for jewelry. Also, these pieces are extremely valuable. So if you're in a thrift store or an auction situation, or you're going in a box lot at, let's say, an estate sale or a flea market or a garage sale, these pieces are not really revered. I think the 4 pieces on this box, I think I paid, let me think here, I paid $85 for the 4 pieces. Okay, that one is worth around 200. This one's around 185 to 225. The ring, I'll get to that in a minute. That's around 300 to 400, and the monkey brooch I was already offered $450 and declined it. So there is a lot of value in these pieces when you find them because people don't know what they are. This one is in fact steel, inset with a pearl, and then inlaid with these little gold flecks on that leaf. Look at that chrysanthemum. So absolutely gorgeous. And then this is a silver back that then was constructed with the trombone clasp. And then, the little screws, this screw is missing, but that screw is there to hold this whole silver back onto this steel construction. And when people say, are you sure that's not, bronze? The answer is yes. Let me grab a magnet. And I don't know why I'm screaming, but I do want to welcome you all in because that's very important in these videos. Where did my magnet go? I just, I have like 10 million magnets on my refrigerator. You think I could find one? All right, so here, this is the dustiest one. So the people that complain about the dust and the dirt in my video, there you go. Dirty, dusty magnet. Well, now watch, look. Yeah, is that steel? Someone says, oh, I think that's bronze. Well, that's bronze. This one's bronze. Absolutely. That one's bronze. That one's not steel. That's bronze. That's bronze, copper, gold, and silver. Get to that in a minute. And I knocked over my little stand. I don't even know where it went. There we go. And so yeah, this is steel. This is steel. And highly magnetic, by the way. So always check your metal to see if it's magnetic. But it's so graciously done. I would say the date on this one probably constructed constructed late 1880 and then mounted as a brooch around 1900 into 1920. That one. And then when people say the trombone clasps are always French, no, this was produced in Japan, and that is a trombone style clasp. So I've covered that now. This is the 90th time in my video. So there you go. You have a trombone clasp from Japan, from the Meiji period. All right, now we're going to go into this ring. So we have a bronze body, and this component, which I'll show you later, one that's not set as a ring, I believe it's pronounced Kashira. Kashira, Kashira. That is the end cap of the sword, or the area that the end cap is then placed. Look at that detail work of this crayfish. And the little 14 karat or 18 karat gold applique of that copper body. These are miniature works of art. This functioned unlike this and this. This may have been on a sword. It's a little deep to have been on a sword, to be perfectly frank. Too thick, too chubby on this specific one. We'll get into the ones later that were used on the swords. This was definitely utilized on the end cap of a samurai sword. 1870-ish. A lot of these are by noted artists, and if they're by a noted artist, this ring could sell for several $1,000s. Let's be clear on that as well. Do your research when you find such things. This one I bought for $20 at a flea market, and that is a sterling silver mounting that then bezel sets this beautiful work of miniature art from the Meiji period. So that was part of the sword itself. That was authentically on a samurai sword. Now, this one was always jewelry. Like I said, that one was always a piece of jewelry, never converted. Let me set this one back up. And I do appreciate all of you for joining in today for this What's in the Box video. You know, I use that in the title sometimes to drive people to these videos to get a deep education on these pieces. Why did I decline $400 for this? Because it's highly unusual. I believe that this could have been a minuki, which is on the side of the handle of the samurai swords. The wear pattern says that this was definitely on a sword as furniture, or what I consider jewelry for the samurai swords. Look at this miniature bronze, graceful armed monkey with that gold foiled, or that gold gilded head. Absolutely exquisite work in miniature. Look how the fur is done. This one I think was $5, I believe, and was converted to a brooch. So you can see that part and that component was then later in life transitioned over to a silver brooch. So that's soldered down to this then later constructed 1940s silver brooch that so gracefully holds that as a piece of jewelry. Very revered as miniature art that has such great detail. There is great value in such pieces. Let's step these out of the way. We'll leave them in the box for right now. Let's just step these out of the way. And again, I do appreciate you being here with me today. These videos are definitely out of sync. I was supposed to do this in a different chronological release, but it's okay. It's all right. So these are in fact all pieces off of the samurai swords. To talk about basic areas of the swords, the tsuba, which is spelled T-S-U-B-A, but it's pronounced suba. You don't say tsuba, you say suba. The suba is that disc-shaped guard at the end of the samurai sword to protect the hand. Once you hold the handle, the suba goes over the hand. It's metal, normally steel or bronze. Some are extremely early, by the way, and I mean very early. I had a suba a few years ago that was from around 1810, and just in steel with little gold accents by a noted artist, I got $2,400 for it. So, you know, the portions of the swords are very important. I covered the Kashira, Kashira. That's the end cap. This is the Kashira of the sword. I didn't bring out any, well, I guess you could say that in a general term, some people disagree, but the general term for jewelry or furniture off the sword is Fushi Gashira. And I know I mispronounce these because I'm not Japanese, but I try my best, being from America. The minuki, I'll go back to this in a minute. The minuki are the side pieces that are decorative pieces under the suka ito, which is the handle wrapping of the swords. So these are the minuki. We'll go back to these in just a minute. You won't believe the construction of these miniature works of art. You're absolutely going to go crazy when I show you these up close. The labor that went into these things is just amazing. The suka is the handle of the sword. The popular designs for the minuki that went on the side of the sword, from memory here, they love to use florals. They did some abstract, they did some geometrics, lions, dragons, horses, medicine balls, insects. I will try and bring on the handle of a sword here in a second and show you some of the larger minuki that were on the sides of a sword that I acquired last summer at Rogers Flea Market. So this is a matched pair of minuki. And you can see that they are opposite facing. So they went on the handles of the sword. I'll show you the back in a moment. That one on one side of the handle, this one on the other side of the handle. And you can see in directional, mirrored image, you can see in the directional manner of how that would have been mounted on the sword handle where they held, right in the center of it. Let me go get the sword. I'm going to pause real quick. Let me go get that to show you where these would have been. I'll be right back. I wish I could zoom out to get this all in. So there's the end cap of a samurai sword intact on the sword. And of course, this is very long, so I can't get it in the frame. Here is, look at the minuki on the side of this. So that is, in fact, steel, gold, and silver. And the gold is actually inlaid inside of the silver in these little tiny lines and dots. And that's all inlaid gold. Look at the wing of that, and a cricket, and actually a praying mantis. So there is a praying mantis, and there is another insect, and there is a good luck cricket. Look at the detail of this. Let me go in close. Normally in these videos, you won't see things such close up, like when they do, photos offline, or pull it off of eBay, or pull it off of Google. You don't see these things up close. Look at the workmanship on this. I wish I could show the entire case here. This is a much smaller sword as well, and it is missing. I believe it's tanto. I believe is the correct term for what it's missing. There is lacquer damage. So that is actually lacquer applied in layer after layer. And then let's go and zoom in on, look at the detail work of this. Look at the praying mantis in the center. But do you see the mirror image now? So do you see what I'm saying? That they're kind of mirror imaged in a way. And then, so this could have been, if it was on the samurai sword, it would have been here underneath the wrapping instead of on the top of that faux facsimile wrap of the lacquer. So this would have actually been toggled under the wrap of that. And I forget the cord. I know the cord that ties the scabbard to the belt was called a sago. I remember that. Certain terms stick with me, and then other ones are very fugitive and leave my brain if I don't use them. But I'm by no means an expert on samurai swords, and I don't need corrected, that's for sure. But when it comes to the metalwork, and as a silversmith, that's where my sensitivity to these things came from, as these historical pieces, and displaced goldsmiths and silversmiths and metalsmiths that were virtual magicians in metal that were like out of a job after the swords were banned from being carried. But look at that inlay work. And look at the detail and the depth of this metalwork. Very much so dimensional, and there's such grace and such beauty in those. There's a long story about this sword, and I should bring my friend Mark on. But I went to Rogers, and this was very early in the morning, and this was seated up front in a showcase very close to the edge of the case. And all the guys were like running around, like crazy, trying to find such pieces. And I normally don't acquire such things. I'm like focused on jewelry, When I saw this, I said, well, that's that's extremely fine metal work, and then the rest of the piece is amazing. But anyways, I called my friend Mark and I said, "Did you see this one sword in this one case?" And he goes, "No, where are you at?" And he came running. And long story short, I drove him crazy because I didn't buy it right away for the measly price that it was. And then I had to have it because my affection for praying mantises is off the charts. And there we go with the end cap as well. The most beautiful metal work you'll ever see. And remember when I mentioned earlier about the florals? Well, why not put another praying mantis, on the end cap as well in that mixed metal? And look at the oxidation. So when people come to my channel and they question me every single video, why don't you polish your items? This is why you should never polish that. That surface is authentic and gorgeous and fabulous. And if you polish that, you lose the history and you diminish the value by a ton. Can you imagine someone going in there and polishing this? Someone's hand polished this for, 50 years. So, no, these things should be revered and should be sacred and left alone. And I guess I should cover that as I put this over here, and I should pause the video, but I walk away from the light box. I'm so diverted all the time. But when you look at these, could you imagine if someone polished these minuki? They would just completely take the surface right off. And look at the inlay work. So let's talk about the skill and the craft of the Meiji period metalsmiths. So we have a mixture of steel, silver, gold, and copper. Okay, so 4 metals here. Look at the detail of the little hooves that are made out of silver, then finally chased and engraved. Look at the inlay work of that gold and silver. The gold mane, the tiny gold eye. These are works of miniature works of art that should be marveled at. Not sure why such pieces aren't more valuable. I will say that this pair, I think back in the day I was offered $500 for the pair from a samurai sword collector, and I did decline because obviously I still own them. Some things in my collections, I don't care what I'm offered. I just don't do it. See how these were then soldered on the inside, and then those stays were then put inside of the sword handle, and then that wrap was around the outside. The term's just not going to come to me for that wrap. I think I may have said it earlier, but the sago cord is on the scabbard, I believe anyway. So look at the detail work of these. So I marvel at these pieces, and these were forgotten about. I bought these for $100 in 2008. And I have so many more minuki, and I have hundreds of them, but those were 2 of my favorite for the works of miniature art. And then this is a single, and I know I have the other one, but I couldn't find it for the video. And this is bronze and minuki, and also gold inlay in the leaves. And I loved the sparseness of the gold, and then that heavily oxidized metal. Graceful curves. Look at the detail in this metalwork. These silversmiths and goldsmiths and jewelers, basically jewelers, were remarkable. This is one of my favorites for an end cap, and you can see that was then toggled through on the end, the end of the handle of the sword. And look at the gold and copper and inlay work of that to laminate those little tiny pieces of metal. And you know what? Let's be courageous and put the world's tiniest gold eye on that amazing rooster. Look at the grace of the legs, that gesture. This one I wouldn't sell for, well, to be honest, I wouldn't sell for any amount of money because this one's very important to me. People ask me if I turn such things into jewelry. The answer is no, even if I were to, like this, not alter it and bezel set it, because you can see that end cap was revered. A lot of times these are turned into jewelry later, because once the Meiji artists and craftspeople were basically, put out of business, by the ban, by the government, they had to transition into making jewelry pieces, like what I talked about earlier. So they continued their passion for making, and we just don't see this kind of work these days. There are still silversmiths and goldsmiths producing really fine work, but look at those bamboo shoots at the top edge, that little punch of light amongst darkness and that oxidation. This one's bronze. I don't think I said that. I thought it was steel, but it is bronze, worked over like crazy. Let's go into a few other pieces, and then we'll have a grand finale. Let's go into a few pieces that were like objects of virtue. I do have many, many, many pieces of mixed metals. This was just a vanity or a desk ornament. This was never utilized, but you can see the sword here, and the proud person that made this, they made it to look like mixed metals, and this is bronze. It's very early, pre-1900. I would circa date it to 1880. That's the best I could come up with. And this had always been an object of virtue, meaning that little stand kicks out, and this just sits. It's just an object of virtue. Sometimes, in Chinese art, such things that just are objects of virtue, and in Japan, they had these versions quite the same. Look at the way they finished the feet here at that angle so that it seats perfectly. It sits and it doesn't rock then. The craft and the skill of these things. But they went with mixed metals. And let me take a quick peek here. This is all bronze. Let me make sure we don't have any steel accents. No, it's all bronze. The back is bronze. Let me get my loop out and take a look at one area. Just make sure that they didn't laminate any other metal. No, they did not. There might be a few copper accents here and there that were soldered down later. I'm seeing this one. Sure looks like copper soldered down. There's a little seam there. But that's all oxidized, patinaed, and gilded to look like mixed metal. To look like Meiji mixed metal. That is just a gorgeous piece of decorative art. When I do my videos, I have, people say, your jewelry's like outstanding. I'm like, you should see the things that are just sitting around. This is a page turner, and one of the best I've ever seen. I believe I now have this sold to a dear friend. This is signed down here in this cartouche. Right there, and I wish I could turn it around. Nope, see, it's not going to fit in the box. No, but nope, almost. All right, so there's the cartouche that's signed by the artist. Look at this for mixed metal. Copper, silver on brass, and the brass is made to look like woven fabric or bamboo. Then we have a copper face on the monkey holding that probably peach tree branch or cherry tree branch. Look at the crab down here with those gold laminated accents, and then look, copper face, a gold tongue, and gold eyes in the monkey. 3/4 view face. Do you know how hard that is as a metalsmith to get that? Yes, there's some little dents here and there. There's a little dent here in the metal. It's to be expected. That's a page turner. Its only job was to turn the pages in a book. Are you kidding me? Talk about elegant and timeless, and then the hand engraving all the way down that page turner. Now, I'll show you one more vase, then we'll get back into the small and decorative pieces. I wish this would fit in. This is Meiji. The base is bronze and oxidized so beautifully with that rich patination. But what I was concerned about is the mixed metal application. Sterling silver oxidized, copper and brass that has been laminated to the surface of this bronze vase. Look at that gesture of that melon-shaped 4-paneled vase and that elegance of the applique silver and mixed metals. So the Meiji period artists didn't just go away. So I've always said that as an artist, we are problem solvers. We are an industrious breed of people that don't take no for an answer. We fight back, and we fight back with beauty, elegance, and grace. And this, I get chills when I say that, but this vase really is a testament to the fact of the transition of samurai swords into the graceful beauty that they left behind. And they left such a mark in our lives. And these pieces do need to be talked about and revered. So if you're watching this video and you're used to my jewelry videos and this kind of doesn't make sense, please send it out to somebody else so that they can, get this information. Only 4 more pieces. I would bring, well, I'll do this one first. Then we'll do these 3. Then I have one more brooch and we'll call it. The reason why this is in a bag is because the little post is broken off. So I did find that in the bottom of the box that this came in. These 4 pieces came in a recent button collection that I bought. And I think that the woman did think that these were buttons. They were not buttons. I have not figured out what these went to. It's possible that this one was a portion off of either an outfit, a belt, or a purse. It's possible. It is nickel silver. The hand engraved back panel, this was definitely soldered onto those posts. One is missing. As a silversmith, I can easily fix this since there is soft solder already there. So that is definitely hand chased and reposate in this very fine dragon. Absolutely exquisite work. I mentioned earlier the dragon motif. Also, sometimes that curvilinear and whiplash, either ocean waves on this one, sometimes they're clouds. This one I think is as ocean waves. Someone might say they're curvilinear whiplash clouds. There's no reason to, or smoke. There's no reason to disagree. There's no fight in all of this. But look at that the continuation of the wave pattern on for this base, then this was this was definitely mounted the other way. Let me see here and figure, oh, okay, here we go. Now it makes more sense. So I suppose that was then riveted to this, and that was the back panel. Couldn't figure out why there was a hole there. So as a jewelry historian and as an antique dealer, I take the deep dive into these things. So much like this amazing dragon, I will take the deep dive and figure out what this came off of. Meiji period for sure, absolutely Japanese on that. Extraordinary work of miniature art. Then I show you these 3. 2 were converted to brooches. So these 2 were converted to brooches. We'll get to that in a moment. Talk about whimsical and fantastic. Are you kidding me? The samurai with that? What on earth? The detail of these pieces, but look at this one of this magical couple. Extraordinary, dreamlike scene. Look at the oxidation on the surface. This has the same or similar back panel. I guess, it doesn't want to come off. I thought this did come off. So there's the same back panel. Not exactly sure what this came off of. Maybe someone in the comments knows exactly what it is. I haven't done my research yet. Copper hat, gold accents, soldered down. Look at the scene of this. And that's silver on the back. And that is a nickel back plate. So that is sterling on the front. I wanted to show these for miniature works of art. And when I come on, I just jump into these, and I don't don't always do my research. There's the central hole in those 2 rivets. This was made into a brooch very shortly after this was constructed. So this could have been at the end of when they were making the furniture, and then continuing to craft with parts that were left. Maybe this was a minuki. And there was a mirror image of one, and the artisan then said, well, we're not making swords anymore, so I'm going to use this minuki, and I'm going to create this scene. Very dimensional, by the way. So that is bronze, 14 karat gold, and copper. So the mixed metal of the Meiji artist, on a silver back, by the way, the craft and the skill of miniature work, I hope you're understanding the detail. And let me encourage you, when these pieces are found, I have not bought one that people knew what they were. Both in what they are historically and also their value. On this one, I would say, reasonably, it's going to be in the vicinity, to a jewelry collector, it's in the vicinity of $350. And maybe slightly more. That one could be more. On the other one, since it's a part and not wearable, probably like $125 on that couple. And then this one is just exceptional. I love the gesture in this, and the eyes, and that curvilinear style of the beard and the mustache. The sword is behind him here. And then look at that hallmark here of the artist that put this together. I forgot to say that, many of the pieces were signed by the artists, and many can be attributed to very famous families of makers, or schools of, I should say, attributed to schools of. This is missing the little C, the little simple C. This is pre-1900, made in silver, and again, possibly a minuki that was then turned into this silver brooch. But what a testament to the history of craft and design. Metalsmiths that spanned before me that were extremely talented. I will fix that one. Now, the last one today, and then I'm going to let you go, is this one. And why I saved this one, I saved the best for last. This is all 14 karat gold. So the minuki, or miniature furniture off of the sword, that would be one of a pair. That is solid 14 karat gold. And yes, they did solid 14 karat gold minuki. I did have that XRF'd. I thought it was bronze with the gold sheet over it. It's not. It's solid gold all the way through and through. Absolutely amazing. That is set on ebony wood. And then this is encased in the thickest and most robust 14 karat gold mounting. So you have a very important piece of furniture. You have incredible craft. And then look at how thick this is for solid 14 karat gold. This is what elevated the value through the roof. So I bought this at an auction. It weighs, let me see here. I'm trying to get in there on that signature. And it is really, oh, I see what's going on. Let me do this. There we go. Let me see if I can bring it toward, nope, let's go right there. Signed Potter Mellon with a leaf in a dotted oval. Potter Mellon, very famous group of silversmiths and goldsmiths in Cleveland, Ohio. Very revered here and also collected on the national level. This is fighting with me because it's picking up the reflection. No, it's here. Let's tip it. There we go. Look at me go. Hold on, guys. I wish I could just pause this and edit it. There's Potter Mellon and Potter Mellon 14 karat. See how that's riveted through? So Potter Mellon found old and interesting parts and components and then utilize that in their work. I would date this to around the 1950s. Could be slightly earlier, but I would say 1950s, maybe 1960s. This weighs, let me talk about this. It weighs 15.6 grams. So in estimated gold weight, it's worth $1,000. I did decline. I'm so greedy. I did decline 2,500. I said, no, I'm not doing it. The elegance, the sophistication, the hand, this detail work in the gold. So please pay attention. But see, if someone saw this, they would just say, oh, it's a 14 karat gold brooch. And they would miss the history of that being off a samurai sword circa 1880, and solid gold. They do exist. They are out there, and they're extremely rare to find a solid gold version. So look through your jewelry jars. Look through your parts and components. Go slow when you're at estate sales. Slow down when you're at auctions and you're going through box lots of, quote, junk jewelry. These pieces and treasures are out there. You have to be at the right place at the right time. You have to be smart. Thank you so much for trusting me. I really do appreciate the love and affection. Go forward and find some amazing treasures. I guess I'd like to say, please stay tuned for videos later this week because they're going to be magnificent. I'm working on 2 monumental videos right now. Thank you so much for your time, and I love you because I do.